Cuyahoga County Council regular meeting of February the 14th, 2012. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Germana. Let the record reflect that Mr. Germana is not here today. Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Strawn.
Here.
Ms. Conwell. Here. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Ms. Simon.
Here.
Mr. Greenspan.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Brady.
Present.
Ms. Conley.
Here.
Quorum.
Mr. Gallagher.
I'd make a motion to excuse Mr. Germana for good cause.
Second.
All right, the moved and seconded that Mr. Germana be excused for good cause. We need to vote on that?
Voice vote.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, Mr. Germana is excused. Excuse me.
We know where he's going. Right.
We think he went to one of the islands. We're not sure. He's not here for good cause. All right, we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd also like to note today is Valentine's Day, February the 14th, and it's also the birthday of Councilperson Sunny Simon. Happy birthday. And we have gone to great expense, and we brought you, we actually located at Public Square. Is it Fire by Ice Cube? Flaming Ice Cube, okay. And we got you vegan cupcakes. But there are regular cookies for the rest of us in the bag. So happy birthday. We'll pass those down to her. All right, we would like to entertain a moment of silence that everyone could consider a significant event in their lives at this time. All right, the next item on the agenda is public comment related to the agenda. Has anyone signed in for public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair. Reverend and Mrs. Robert Stroman.
Okay, and for all those persons who are going to comment, if you would come to the podium, and you'll be given 3 minutes, and the timer is up here, and there's a bell indicating the end of your 3 minutes. And we're generally generous with your 3 minutes. We don't cut you off at the middle of the end of a sentence or the middle of a sentence, but you're done in 3 minutes.
We've been here for many meetings of the committees, and we are back to thank you. I'm thanking those who are supporting domestic partner benefits. We, as many of you know, have 4 children, 2 of whom are gay, one lesbian, and we love all of our children, and it's so good to see this county being willing to treat them all equally, treat them with respect, and we really appreciate the action that you're contemplating tonight, and want to say thank you to all of you.
I just want to add, as the mother, to not have 2 of our children happily discriminated against is how I really look at it, by law and other ways. It would be nice if they all could, 4 would be treated equally. And are also here representing PFLAG, which is also meeting tonight, and which is, you know, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, and we'll be very anxious to see how this goes, and that those folks will know that their children are going to be treated without equally. Discrimination and equally. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next person is Mary Ostendort.
Hello, and thank you. I've been here several times. I've been watching the process that you use, and I respect what you're doing. I know you're trying to abide by law and to be fair. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, Rob Rivera.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for giving the public time to comment. I appreciate that. I live in Cleveland Heights. I'm the president of the Cleveland Stonewall Dems, but most importantly, I'm someone that cares about the future of Cuyahoga County and Greater Cleveland. I'm here to comment on the domestic partner benefits ordinance. I know you've gone through a very deliberate process, as Mary referenced, and we do appreciate that. To the 6 co-sponsors, I thank you. This is a simple yet important measure. It does send a message that Cuyahoga County is going to join the rest of the country that's moving forward on this issue and making it a non-issue, that all employees will be treated fairly and equally with regard to the benefits of employment. For the members of council who are on the fence or perhaps considering voting against the measure, I'd ask you to reconsider this. If your no vote is on economics, this is an economic measure. It will ensure that the executive, that council, that the employers, the different departments of Cuyahoga County truly will get the most qualified and best candidates that come before them. And if you think whether or not it matters, if you really will attract people to the employment ranks, to the candidate pool, it does matter. When I finished law school and I considered coming to work back in Greater Cleveland from Columbus, I went to work at Jones Day because they offered domestic partner benefits, and the other employers I considered did not. And when I looked at where to move in Cuyahoga County, I moved to Cleveland Heights because Cleveland Heights had said that they sent a message of inclusiveness to me as a gay man and my partner. And so I'd like to see the county of Cuyahoga join those ranks of public entities that send a message they will treat all of their employees fairly and that the welcome mat is open. There are no constitutional issues here. State v. Carswell, the Ohio Supreme Court made clear, ordinances such as this do not violate the Ohio Constitution in spite of issue 1. And with regard to other issues of concern, I think that when you really think about what your duty is as someone that represents all of the 1.2 million citizens of Cuyahoga County, you want to send a message that you represent all of us, including those of us in the LGBT community and our straight friends that care about sending a message of equality. So I thank you for this vote, and I hope those on the fence or considering voting no will consider casting a vote for doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other speakers this evening, Madam Chair.
All right, if there are no other speakers, we'll move on to the next item. The minutes of the meeting of January the 24th, 2012 have been circulated in your packet. I assume everyone has had an opportunity to read them. Are there any additions or corrections? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as circulated.
So moved.
Mr. Greenspan and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Is there any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are adopted as circulated. A message from our county executive.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I'm going to be pretty brief. First of all, I wanted to thank all the members of council who were able to attend the State of the County address that I delivered a couple weeks back, and for your supportive comments about it. Two things that I would notice. One is that we've tried to set up as one of our measures of how much progress we're making when folks outside of Cuyahoga County are starting to look to what we're doing as an example, not just cleaning up the problems we have, but that folks, other counties across the state are looking at this. And we got a number of requests for details about programs that we announced that we were going to be try to undertake that we mentioned in that speech. And so that's, for instance, in some from the media. So, for instance, the Akron Beacon Journal noted in the days after the speech was given that it should be required reading for elected officials in Summit County as they started looking at how they could consolidate their strategy. So I think that that's a good sign, and I want to just thank you for lending the substance of what we've done in the last year that I tried to reflect in the speech. Secondly, there was a request from some members of council, including yourself, Madam President, for us to communicate to council if there are legislative or portions of the 12-point agenda that we laid out that should be presented to council. And my staff, including David Merriman and Melvin Davis, and also our law department, are going through and trying to reduce the various policy procedures to pieces of legislation. Some of them can be done administratively without requiring legislation. Some of them, it's up in the air whether they would need legislation, and a couple portions of it I think will require legislation. So we have basically a four quarterly estimate of different portions of the Western Reserve Plan, when they could be implemented, and whether or not they would require administrative action, legislative action, or both. And so I would anticipate that in the next month or so, you'll be getting bits and pieces of that legislation, authorizing legislation when and if it is necessary. Related to that, and lastly, is one of the things that I mentioned in that address was that I thought that we should make a commitment for the county share of casino revenues for development in the downtown Cleveland area, and the importance, I think, of committing that revenue stream to some purpose, which I hope will be the purpose that I outlined, but to some purpose, that is something that we may want to move up on the agenda. And the reason I say that is because there was a legislative attempt within the last week in Columbus which was contained in a bill called House Bill 386. House Bill 386 is the House version of the casino control legislation. And there was a last-minute amendment that was placed in that legislation that would have dictated what the county would spend our casino revenues on. And again, it is the latest in a string of very unhelpful things coming out of Columbus, because one of the very few silver linings we got in terms of funding in the last couple years was, even though state funding was slashed, we did have this pool of money that we were going to have that was going to be dedicated to us from the casino funds. Now the legislature was deliberating about whether or not, even though by constitutional amendment, they couldn't take the money away from us, that they did believe that they could dictate what we would spend it on. And it would set a very dangerous precedent, I think, in a number of, it was only going to affect 50%, well, I shouldn't say only, it was going to affect 50% of the casino revenue that we received. But that's just when they were getting started. I mean, I think it would just be a matter of time before the other 50% would end up being dedicated to something else that some legislator down there happened to have a pet project or pet bill about. We were very aggressive lobbying against it. We, both our own lobbyists that we have on retainer there, I contacted Speaker Batchelder and Minority Leader Budish about this matter. So did other county leaders across the state. We talked with them, especially Commissioner O'Grady down in Franklin County. And the good news is, at the last moment, there was a floor vote, and it was pulled. It was apparently, as of a couple hours ago, was pulled out. So for the time being, it seems to be dead. But two things. One is, I think we have to be vigilant about this, and we'll continue to try to. I would have given you a briefing if it hadn't just happened just hours ago. So I think we have to be vigilant about these kinds of attempts by the legislature, not just to cut our funding, but also to basically give unfunded mandates or various mandates about funds we do still control. Secondly, I think there was a portion of the legislation that would have only affected counties that had not already entered into a designated use or specific contract for those revenues. So the fact that, for instance, the city of Columbus and Franklin County and Columbus, they have already dedicated their casino revenues for a hockey arena project that they have down there. The legislation was written in such a way to exempt them because they already had a designated end user for the funds. Even though I have made comments since I was sworn into office that I believe that all of the money should be reserved for economic development, and even though And we haven't budgeted for a 2-year period of time. And even though I made comments in my speech that not only should be used for economic development, but it should be focused on kind of the next generation of projects in downtown Cleveland, I think that this recent experience in the last 48 hours that we had down in Columbus just highlights the fact that we need to make a decision on that. So it's probably something we should probably move up on our agenda. I thought we had a few months to kind of mull it over. I think we may want to expedite that. Thank you, Madam President.
Right. Thank you. Just for the record, the contracts executed by the county executive are a part of the record and are available online and also in your pocket books. Item 6, consideration of motions of council for first reading referral to committee. Madam Clerk?
Motion number 2012-0004, a motion amending various rules of the Cuyahoga County Council and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
These are a number of rules proposed by Mr. Greenspan and Mr. Miller, and they'll be referred to the Rules Committee. And we have any meeting next Tuesday?
Madam President, yes, Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Okay. Item 0005.
Motion number 2012. Motion number 2012-0005, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of Jerry G. Brown to serve on the County Audit Committee and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
That now be referred to the Human Resource Committee.
Motion number 2012-0006, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of Victor A. Ruiz to serve on the Cuyahoga Community College Board of Trustees and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
This also will go to Human Resources.
Motion number 2012-0007, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of the Honorable Timothy DeGeeter to serve on the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District Board of Trustees and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
And that also will go to Human Resources. And I anticipate that they will meet between now and the next meeting. Will probably be on the agenda for the next meeting for confirmation. All right, item 9, consideration of resolutions of council for first reading and under suspension of the rules. So you need a motion to suspend the rules pursuant to 9D and 12A. Ms. Simon?
Madam President, I move we suspend the rules.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended as to items A and B. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2012-0018, a resolution providing for the appointment of Janine D. Thurman as Assistant Deputy Clerk of Council and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Ms. Thurman will be anticipate being hired as the Assistant Deputy Clerk. She's present with us this evening. She comes to us from the city of Cleveland. And this has been vetted through the Human Resource Committee, through the
Went through the hiring process.
wrote the entire hiring
posted.
process, right?
Yes.
And so we welcome you to our staff, assuming we get the vote here. So let's call for a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Congratulations, Ms. Thurman. We look forward to working with you. All right, item 0019.
Resolution number 2012-0019, a resolution recognizing February 19th through 26th, 2012 as Cleveland Saves Week in Cuyahoga County, encouraging county administrative departments to promote personal and household saving to employees, clients, and residents of Cuyahoga County, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Mr. Rogers, you moved by Mr. Rogers, seconded by Mr. Miller. Mr. Rogers, did you want to be heard on this?
Yes, I do. Cleveland Saves Week is an initiative that's been going on for a number of years here in Cleveland, and essentially it's a wealth building activity where we're encouraging people to save throughout the city, throughout the county. I'd like to call on Ms. Tomko from the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, if you could, right here at the, yes. And Ms. Tomko is the chair of the Cleveland Saves Board, and if you could just give an overview of what Cleveland Saves is all about.
I will. So Cleveland Saves promotes wealth building in Cleveland. and in the area. It's actually going to be America Saves Week, the week of February 19th through the 26th, so you should see national press on this. But in Cleveland, we've taken this to full heart, and we have a number of things that are organized through the city. The Federal Reserve of Cleveland is offering free piggy banks and activity to people that are visiting the Learning Center. The Westside Housing Center and Huntington National Bank, they're hosting free tax preparation on February 25th at the Gordon Square Arcade. And then the City of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County are encouraging direct deposit for employees and promoting emergency savings. In addition, anyone that is would like to encourage savings can go to clevelandsaves.org and sign up to be a saver. Adult savers that sign up are enrolled for a free drawing for $500 or a gas card or a $100 savings account. And then we're also encouraging this year for the first time to get the youth savers involved. So any youth savers under the age of 18 can also sign up for free and be enrolled in a drawing for a $500 savings account. And then we encourage any current savers to re-enroll and commit to savings. So you should see some of this in the press, and I thank you so much for considering.
Great, thank you. I just want to also highlight that there are a number of financial institutions that are participating in this program, and usually when you go to open a savings account, there's a minimum that you have, usually around $50 to $100. A lot of these institutions are waiving that minimum, so encouraging more people to open up bank accounts and begin saving. So I encourage my colleagues here to support this, and I think that we'll probably see similar resolutions like this from year to year.
Thank you. Are you giving away free samples over at the Federal Reserve? Oh, okay.
And if I can also highlight, it is tax time, so a lot of people are getting their tax returns, and this is a perfect opportunity to begin saving if you're not already.
Madam President, I'd like to add my name to this resolution.
Mr. Miller? I should add Mr. Jones's name.
Saving a little bit of money over time can really make a positive difference in people's lives through the miracle of compound interest. And I'd like to add my name as a sponsor as well.
All right, Mr. Miller, and I'd like to add my name. I actually have a bank account where my father started saving for me. He was like depositing like 25 cents, and so it built up, and eventually I had money to go to college, so it really is significant. Anybody else want to add? Ms. Conwell? All right. All right, any other comments? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We have February 19th to 26th as Cleveland Saves Week in Cuyahoga County. All right. Item 10, committee report and consideration of a resolution of council for second reading.
Resolution number 2012-0011, a resolution proclaiming the month of May of each year as Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Awareness Month in Cuyahoga County and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
All right, there's no action to be taken, and I believe that Mr. Miller has just a technical amendment to the...
Yes, Madam President, this item is up for second reading today, and presumably at the next meeting would be up for final passage. I would like to make a motion to amend, and it's the top one of the two amendments that's on the sheet that I passed out. And in committee, a very good suggestion was made that we make all the municipalities in Cuyahoga County aware of this resolution in hopes that others would want to participate. And I thought it would be good to add public school superintendents and school board presidents in the hopes that some school programs would also take place. So that's the amendment.
All right, so is there a second to the amendment? All right. All those in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion is so amended, and then we'll see it at the next committee, at the next reading. All right, item 11, consideration of ordinances of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Ordinance number 2012-0003, an ordinance establishing rules and procedures for operation of charter review commissions in Cuyahoga County pursuant to Article 12, Section 9 of the Cuyahoga County Charter. Referral.
Is there a motion? I'm sorry. Well, these will be referred to the Rules Committee. I'd like to thank Mr. Miller in advance for his very, very diligent work on the preparation of these rules for the Charter Review Commission.
Thank you.
And item 0004.
Ordinance number 2012-0004, an ordinance amending the Cuyahoga County Code of Ethics as amended and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
And this matter will also go to the Rules Committee. All right, item 12, committee report and consideration of an ordinance of council for actually fourth reading adoption. Item 0042.
Ordinance number 2011-0042, an ordinance extending health care benefits to domestic partners of county employees and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Rogers. And I believe that there is a technical amendment that Mr. Miller would like to make.
Madam President, I would like to move to amend, and it's the second of the amendments on the sheet. And what this amendment does is that as it's currently written, dependents would be covered at age under 26, but the way the state law reads is that it's 26 or less. So this amendment simply changes it so that the dependents would be 26 years of age or less, or as otherwise provided by state or federal law, which is currently in the legislation.
All right, do you have any discussion on that? It's been moved. You seconded, Ms. Simon? So moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. I moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Simon to amend, reflecting the change in the wording regarding the age. Is there any discussion on that? All right, all's in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The issue is so amended. Now it's been moved and seconded for the issue on the merit. Is there any discussion?
Madam President? Yes, I just want to first thank this council and the committees that participated in the discussion throughout the last few months, and all of the residents who came up to speak to us in this forum in a respectful manner, and the discussion was considered and appreciated, and we took a lot of what we heard under consideration, and I'm proud of how we handled this and where we are today. I do want to say that should this ordinance pass, I too believe that this ordinance will move us significantly, this whole county, into the 21st century to ensure that all of our citizens are treated equally without discrimination. To say we're a county of inclusiveness, of fairness, and competitiveness, and that we welcome everybody to live in Cuyahoga County and to work here with open arms, whoever you are. So I really encourage my colleagues to consider this and put us moving forward and open up a new door for this county, and consistent with our charter that we all work to strive to adhere, to which we adhere, states that we need to establish policies that make sure and ensure that we don't discriminate against same-sex couples, sexual orientation. So I hope we all consider these factors and move us forward. And I do want to say, however you vote, I know it's not always easy to make these votes. It takes boldness and courage sometimes to make these steps forward. So I just want to say thank you to my colleagues and to everybody who's come here the last several months.
All right,
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
A week or so ago, I had the opportunity to attend the opening of the Global Cleveland Welcome Center. And they've put forward an ambitious goal to increase the population of the region by 100,000 people over the next 10 years. And I think this legislation is very consistent with their message that we are one community. We're a welcoming community for a diverse population, and I think it's a forward-looking thing, and I strongly support the legislation. I would also mention that Ms. Simon mentioned the possibility of a second technical amendment, so if you're going to proceed with that, I just bring that forward. Thank you.
Thank you, colleague Miller. There's a particular provision under Section 2, or page 3, Section 2B, number 8, which is one of the factors which would satisfy the requirement for documenting 115 for our council. Section B. Number 8. These are factors that would be considered in an affidavit to document that, in fact, there's a domestic partnership. And number 8 says that we will accept a certificate of marriage from another state. And what I would like to move to amend is to say another jurisdiction, because one never knows, from where a valid marriage certificate may come, including other countries, and jurisdiction I just think will be significant to address future certificates. So I would make that motion to amend to change state to jurisdiction.
Any discussion on that?
Madam Chair, if I may, just for clarity, it's Section 1, Section 1B8, not Section 2. But
Right. It's on page 115. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We accept the amendment. If there's no further discussion, do we call the roll? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Gallagher? No. Mr. Schron?
No.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon?
Yes.
Mr. Greenspan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
The vote is 6-4. The motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I would just like to commend Councilwoman Simon for her hard work and dedication with this legislation. And I agree that this legislation does promote equity throughout the county, so thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Item 13, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules 9D and 12A. Ms. Simon?
Madam President, I move we suspend the rules.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Gallagher to suspend the rules for the item 0020. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Item 0020. Madam Clerk?
Resolution number 2012-0020, a resolution amending the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget for 2012 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Is there any discussion on this? I had an opportunity, all of us have gone over it. I know Mr. Miller and I always go over it and have some brief discussion.
Madam President, my colleagues, these are routine changes, and a lot of it relates to moving things from old and defunct index codes to new locations in the budget structure without actually changing the way any money's being spent.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 14, Consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2012-0021, a resolution supporting submission of applications on behalf of Cuyahoga County for first-round funding under the Local Government Innovation Fund available through the State of Ohio Department of Development, authorizing the county executive and department directors to take all steps necessary in furtherance of this goal, including entering into partnership initiatives, memoranda of understanding with any other potential partners, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will be referred to the Economic Development Committee.
Resolution number 2012-0022, a resolution approving right-of-way plans as set forth in the right-of-way legend sheet for permanent parcel number 264-21020, project parcel number 15, located at 7931 Stearns Road for the grade separation of Stearns Road at the Norfolk Southern Railroad in Olmsted Township, authorizing the county executive through the Department of Public Works to acquire said project parcel as necessary right-of-way, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's cost of said improvement, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0023, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires replacement of Rockside Road Bridge number 3.32 over the Cuyahoga River in the City of Independence and Village of Valley View. Total estimated construction cost $8 million. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, and authorizing the county executive to enter into agreements of cooperation with said municipalities in connection with said project.
This will go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0024, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires resurfacing of Emery Road from Northfield Road to Marigold Avenue in the City of Warrensville Heights and Village of North Randall. Total estimated construction cost $3,300,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, and authorizing the county executive to enter into agreements of cooperation with said municipalities in connection with said project.
Go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0025, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires resurfacing of Turney Road from Sladen Avenue to Hathaway Road in the City of Garfield Heights. Total estimated construction cost $4,125,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, and authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement of cooperation with said municipality in connection with said project.
Goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0026, a resolution making an award on requisition number 21908 to the C.A. Agresta Construction Company in the amount of $1,314,468.45 for repair and resurfacing of Noble Road from Euclid Avenue to the East Cleveland South Corporation line in the City of East Cleveland, authorizing the county executive to execute a contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution, and authorizing the county engineer on behalf of the county executive to make an application for allocation from county motor vehicle $7.50 license tax funds in said amount to fund said contract.
To go to Public Works. You got your work cut out for you, Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2012-0027, a resolution establishing a list of certified providers for occupational skills training services for the individual training account system for the period November 1, 2011 through June 30, 2014, authorizing the county executive to enter into agreements with said providers for said training services, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective, with the institutions as provided on the agenda G1 through 4.
So go to Economic Development.
Resolution number 2012-0028, a resolution making an award on requisition number 21601 to Great Lakes Petroleum Company in the amount not to exceed $554,000 for middle distillates for various county facilities for the Department of Public Works for the period May 1, 2012 through April 30, 2013, and authorizing the county executive to execute a contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution.
This will go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0029, a resolution making an award on requisition number 21602 to Great Lakes Petroleum Company in the amount not to exceed $648,000 for gasoline for various county facilities for the Department of Public Works for the period May 1, 2012 through April 30, 2013, and authorizing the county executive to execute a contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution.
Go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0030, a resolution making an award on requisition number 21586 to Jack Doney Supplies Ohio Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $696,211.55 for Vector 21 Series Plus combination sewer cleaning equipment for use by Department of Public Works, Division of County Engineer, and authorizing the county executive to execute a contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution.
Let's go to Public Works.
Resolution number 2012-0031, a resolution authorizing amendments to memoranda of understanding with various providers for the Cuyahoga Tapestry System of Care Provider Services Network for various time periods ending December 31, 2011, to extend the time period to December 31, 2012. Authorizing the county executive to execute the amendments and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the time periods and with the providers as listed on the agenda.
This will go to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2012-0032, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office in the amount not to exceed $2,074,053 for legal services for the Division of Children and Family Services for the period January 1, 2012 through December 31, 2012, and authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution.
This will go to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2012-0033, a resolution making awards on requisition number 21780 to various providers for community wraparound care coordination and family and youth advocacy services for the period April 1, 2012 through June 30, 2013, and authorizing the county executive to execute contracts and all other documents consistent with said awards and this resolution for the providers and in the amounts as printed on the agenda, items M1 through 8.
This will go to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2012-0034, a resolution making awards on requisition number 21241 to various providers for the family-to-family neighborhood system of care for the period January 1, 2012 through March 31, 2013, and authorizing the county executive to execute contracts and all other documents consistent with said awards and this resolution for the providers and in the amounts as printed on the agenda, items number N1 through 14.
This will also go to Health and Human Services. All right, item 15, committee report and consideration of resolutions for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. This would be, we need a suspension of the rule to require 3 readings. So we suspend the rules pursuant to 9D. Ms. Simon?
Madam President, I move we suspend the rules.
Moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Gallagher to suspend the rules that require 3 readings. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the rules are suspended. Item 0344.
Resolution number 2011-0344, a resolution reaffirming and approving a reduced dog license fee for spayed and neutered dogs effective December 1st, 2011, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon, you want to be heard on this?
Sure. Thank you, Madam President. This resolution was to affirm a policy that was set forth to reduce the license fees for dogs who are fixed. And there's 2 reasons for that, one of which is to reward people who are doing the right thing. We have a huge overpopulation problem in this county, actually throughout the country. Too many dogs, too many cats that are being euthanized in great numbers. So this is a way to stop and reduce the euthanasia, and secondly, just to promote education on that issue. So hopefully the numbers aren't in yet, how much we're bringing in, but we'll see what happens. All of a sudden, a lot of people's dogs are fixed that weren't before, but we'll get the numbers and see how this works out. Oh, and lastly, Madam President, the license fees go directly to the kennel. So people need to know, don't all know that your dog license fees go to support the county kennel.
Right, so the more dog licenses we have, more money goes to the kennel, and we have more dogs taken care of and less dogs euthanized. So it's really, really important. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Item 0014.
Resolution number 2012-0014, a resolution amending the 2011 annual appropriation measure by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources and for appropriation transfers between budget accounts in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies related to year-end closeout activities in accordance with resolution number R 2011-0320 and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Jones. This matter has been before the Finance Committee, Finance and Budget Committee, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, did you have any comments on this?
Madam President and my colleagues, we passed legislation in December, and that legislation authorized budget and management to make year-end closeout transfers within the budget. But it also provided that after the year was over, that they would submit to us a resolution to confirm all the changes that were made. And the administration also diligently provided us a weekly report of all the changes as the legislation called for, so we knew what the changes were that were being made as it happened. And we went through the changes in considerable detail in committee. The largest aspect is that about $30 million of unspent funds of various kinds were decertified. Reflecting the fact that not everything that was appropriated was spent, and that spending levels were somewhat lower than anticipated. This is something that typically happens to a considerable degree every year, but it was particularly strong this year.
And once again, the figures on this are available online. They're also available in the booklet for public inspection. They have been online, for some period of time. Right. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0015.
Resolution number 2012-0015, a resolution approving the appropriation of funds for year 2012 based on the Statement of Appropriation Status dated December 31st, 2011, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Is there any discussion on this?
Madam President, we also discussed this in Finance Committee, and it's a routine resolution that we have to pass every year to appropriate money for multi-year projects, grants, and operations. And it does total $535 million, so it's a lot of money. It's things that have been started but not completed in 1 year.
All right, any other discussion, any other questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0017.
Resolution number 2012-0017, a resolution authorizing a water pollution control loan fund agreement with Ohio Environmental Protection Agency and Ohio Water Development Authority in the amount of $378,483 for the Jefferson Drive Lateral Rehabilitation Reconstruction Project, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Rogers and seconded by Ms. Simon. Is there any discussion on this? This came from the Environment and Sustainability Committee. Mr. Rogers?
Essentially, there are residents along Highland Road in the city of Highland Heights that are, their basements are flooding because of the sewer issues there. They are contracted with the Cuyahoga County Sanitary Engineers to maintain their sewers. So this loan will basically help to rectify the problem, and it will be repaid actually through the Highland Heights account. Everyone who is contracted with the Cuyahoga County Sanitary Engineers Department for their sewer maintenance is assessed a fee based on the frontage of their property, and that fee is dumped into account for things like this. So I think I've said that right. So yeah, that's what this is gone through committee.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 16, miscellaneous committee reports. Are there any miscellaneous committee reports?
Madam President.
Mr. Rogers, did you have one? Or?
Yeah, just briefly, I've been working with a number of people on the council and the administration and members of the community on the scholarship program. And so I'm just giving a heads up that you should see something introduced before our next meeting for discussion. So.
All right, thank you. Anybody else on this side? Mr. Miller?
Madam President, my colleagues, Finance Committee will meet next Tuesday, not its usual Monday time because of the holiday at 1 p.m. Councilman Greenspan has graciously moved the Rules Committee to earlier that day so that we can deal with the holiday. And the focus of the Finance Committee meeting will be on the policy relating to reserves. I don't expect that we'll finish work in committee on next Tuesday, but we expect to make progress. Thank you.
Mr. Brady?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Health and Human Services Committee will meet this Thursday to consider the resolutions that were introduced this evening at 1 o'clock.
Anything further? Ms. Conwell?
The Health and Human Resources Appointments and Equity will meet February 23rd at 10 o'clock. It's regular time.
And Mr. Jones?
Public Works Committee will meet this Thursday at 11 to deal with the items presented today.
Anything further under miscellaneous reports? Item 17 under miscellaneous business was supposed to be a presentation regarding the Vitality, the county's new employees wellness program, and we sort of had a glitch, and we're going to do that probably in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to make sure that everybody got home to take their favorite person out to dinner or deliver roses, so we thought it might be a better time to have this presentation. Are there any persons sign in for public comment unrelated to the agenda?
Madam President, there is one person who has signed in regards to the domestic partnership. Being married for 35 and a half years with this name, I can't screw it up for this person. So this is Kevin Schmatzer. If you'd like to speak, now is the time.
Come to the microphone, please.
I just want to say thank you to the council for their support on the ordinance of 2011-42. Not only am I a resident of the city of Cleveland, but I am also an employee of the city of Cleveland. This ordinance was passed by the city council and the administration last year, ordinance 411-11, and I just wanted to say thank you very much. This does make an impact to various different people, employees of Cuyahoga County. This will make an impact personally to myself when this goes into effect April 1st of this year. I have been with someone for over 10 years, but for over the 10 years, I've also been paying additional insurance costs that are quite significant just because of who I am and who I'm with. So it does make an impact. The other thing too is to think about too is businesses that are looking to look and invest and create and move to this region. There was comments about the global Cleveland, about increasing the population of 100,000. Trust me, this will go through people's minds when they are looking to invest, relocate their family, their business. They look at these things. They do. So this will have an impact on the individuals, companies making decisions. So again, I want to thank you for your support on this ordinance. Thanks.
Thank you very much. If there is no further business to be before this council, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And I'll note that our next meeting is Tuesday, February the 28th at 5 p.m. Thank you very much. This meeting stands adjourned.
No, not at all.